you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. On the show tonight, it was the BJP's biggest bold plank to bring inflation down. But now the Modi government is facing its biggest challenge in the price rise. As everything from food to fuel gets more expensive, what happened to the promise of achche din? Also tonight, an article in the British Medical Journal that talks about deep-rooted corruption among India's doctors sparks off a fierce debate. From making patients undergo unnecessary tests to prescribing medicines by a particular company, the assessment is scathing. Have India's regulatory bodies completely failed? Do we need to be wary of our doctors? That debate's coming up in about 30 minutes. But first tonight, alarmed by the sharp hike in food inflation, the cabinet met this evening and while telling states to crack down on hoarders, has decided on stock limits for onions and potatoes for a period of 1 year. That means that the onus is basically on states to ensure that stocks are available. The centre says there is no need to panic.
The cabinet has expected that the state governments will take firm and effective measures against hoarding, and therefore there is a need for fixing a limit of stock, both in respect of onions and potato. Onion and potato must be brought within the purview of the stock holding limits under the Essential Commodities Act. देश को यह आश्वस्त करना चाहते हैं, पैनिक करने की जरूरत नहीं है। जो भी आवश्यक कार्रवाई होगी कर रही है और हमारी सरकार कीमतों को कम करने के लिए कटिबद्ध है।
Well, those measures announced by the government come after the Modi government has come in for a lot of flack over its handling of the inflation issue, especially because it was such a key bold plank. Opposition parties have been scathing in their attack.
यूपीए सरकार के समय जब ये मुद्दे आते थे तो जो आज बयान एनडीए सरकार के आ रहे हैं वही उस समय हमारे भी आते थे। दिल्ली में कुर्सी पर बैठकर वास्तविकताएं अब उनके समझ में आ रही हैं।
UPA government has left a good legacy. They are not tackled well.
At the time of elections, they tried to sell all the dreams. Now they are struck by the reality of the situation.
The opposition going after the government now over inflation, even as the government tries to park the blame at its predecessor's door.
We have a legacy problem. The UPA government for 10 years, what they have done is all there, people have witnessed it. And that inflation issue is not like an electrical switch on and off.
In the past month, except for a partial rollback in suburban fares, rail passenger fares have been hiked by 14.2% and freight rates by 6.5%. Non-subsidized cooking gas prices are up by 16 rupees 50 paise per cylinder. Petrol prices are up by 1 rupee 69 paise per litre and diesel up by 50 paise a litre on average. Sugar prices have gone up by 2 rupees per kg, from 36 to 38 rupees a kg to 39 to 40 rupees per kg, and onion prices are up by 15 rupees a kg. And in the middle of all this, an announcement by party spokesperson Sambit Patra that the BJP would tame inflation within 30 days of coming to power in a TV debate in November has come back to haunt the BJP. Though the leader explained later that he was actually talking about inflation in Delhi, the damage has already been done. And as the blame game continues, food inflation continues to rise. NDTV Bureau Report.
So whatever happened to the promises of achche din? Did the Modi government in a sense, or the BJP in a sense, increase expectations with that slogan of achche din and is now in a sense paying the price for that? That's what M.K. Venu had written in a column for NDTV.com a few days ago. He's here in the studio with us, the executive editor of the Amar Ujala Group. Also with us tonight, Sajid Chinoy, the chief India economist for JP Morgan from Pune, D. Raja, Rajya Sabha MP of the CPI, Pinky Anand, spokesperson of the BJP, Sanjay Jha, spokesperson of the Congress party, and well-known left economist Prasenjit Bose. I'll take my first question to Prasenjit Bose today. Prasenjit, we've just heard the government announcing a series of measures, essentially laying the onus on states now to ensure that there are some basic stocks of onions and potatoes. Is that a smart move to lay the onus entirely on states now? Do you think politically that the centre is basically now ensuring that the states have to take charge of this and they get less of flack, or do you think that's not going to work?
I don't think it's going to work, because just give me a few minutes to explain the basic problem. You see, the UPA government was done in because its diagnosis of inflation in India was wrong. It focused on reducing demand. It was operating under the assumption that demand has risen because of their growth and so on and so forth, and that is why people are eating more, consuming more. That is why you are having inflation. That is why what we saw during the UPA government's term was that inflation, the interest rates were hiked very sharply again and again, time and again, and the supply side, which was the real reason why the inflation rate was going on, was left unaddressed. What we are finding today is that the BJP, by doing this, what they are doing, I think this is only a small part of the problem, and obviously they are trying to pass on the buck to the state governments. They should first of all come out of this, this policy paradigm of they should come clean of what the BJP government thinks is the reason behind this persistent inflation in India. If their diagnosis is the same as the Congress, then their policies are going to be the same. What is the break that they are going to provide in the policy of the government in tackling inflation? Otherwise, if you follow the same policies as the Congress government, what is the kind of different outcome you are expecting? I think that is the basic issue of debate here, and the BJP should come clean on this. How do they differently perceive the inflation problem vis-a-vis the Congress? And if they do not have any difference with the Congress, then then what is the whole point? I think it is absolute hypocrisy on their part.
Okay, very important points made by you there, Prasenjit Bose. I'll take that to the BJP's Pinky Anand. Prasenjit Bose saying, one, that the centre, Pinky Anand, is passing the buck onto states. He says it's not going to work. And B, you're diagnosing the inflation problem the same way the Congress-led UPA did, and your solutions are exactly the same. What's different then about the NDA government?
Maybe I don't quite think so. First of all, if you are talking about food in particular at this point of time, one of the issues that has arisen as far as BJP is concerned is to find that some of the states, in particular there is the Congress elements, are ensuring hoarding, and hoarding is leading to a steep rise. So therefore it is not only addressing, as Prasenjit said, to the issue of demand, but to the factum of the supply actually being monitored in such a fashion, in fact derailed in such a fashion by the Congress holders, that it is leading to an increase in the prices. So therefore this aspect is absolutely being addressed onto the supply, and to those states in particular where we are finding in Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan about illegal hoarding, steps are being taken in that direction, A. B, the signal has come already from the BJP that there is a question under consideration of decontrol of fruits and vegetables, so that they may be brought out in the open market, because it is the middlemen who are actually doing actions in such a manner so as to lead to steep rise in prices. So therefore this aspect, as well as putting fair price shops in place, so that actually the supply is available to the people, and therefore both these aspects, or rather three of these aspects, are each of them dealing with the supply side and not the demand side. But obviously, I mean, each of these issues is being looked at and monitored as much as possible. The states have to perform. The states have to have their supplies available, because ultimately it is always found in these kind of cases that there is some action being taken by negative elements.
What about the centre's responsibility, Pinky Anand? The question is that when the reverse was happening and you all were in the opposition, you were attacking the UPA at the centre. They were talking about the same problems of hoarding. And, in fact, Venu was telling me a story just now about, trucks that are not coming in from Rajasthan, because in Rajasthan hoarding is taking place. I mean, why isn't the BJP able to control hoarding that is taking place in Rajasthan, for instance? Why just blame the Congress states and say it is the traders associated with in the Congress states that are doing the hoarding? It's happening in BJP states also.
No, of course it may be happening in BJP states also, but of course it's being done at the behest of the vested elements, including the Congress, and therefore that is a problem. That is the issue that we are trying to address, to actually ensure that these hoarders are not able to hoard, because this is the direct result of the as a direct result of this, you are having increase in price.
Okay, wait. Prasenjit has a quick response, and then Sanjay. Yes, Prasenjit.
Yeah, I mean, you see, the point is, I don't think Ms. Anand seriously wants us to believe that the Congress party is creating this inflation. Inflation is a result of certain complex economic factors.
I wasn't talking about inflation.
Yes, there is hoarding. There is hoarding in Maharashtra, there is hoarding in Rajasthan, there is hoarding in Madhya Pradesh. So Congress ruled governments, BJP ruled governments, non-Congress, non-BJP ruled governments, all kinds of governments allow this hoarding to take place. The point is different. The point is hoarding is only a part of it. It aggravates the situation. You have a supply crisis in our country. We don't produce enough. Our supply chain management is archaic. Desperately we need modernization of our storage infrastructure, of our distribution network. We need modernization of our agriculture. We need, and most importantly, the way you are increasing prices, administered prices. diesel prices, petrol prices,
Sugar
fertilizer
prices have gone up.
railway fares, freight charges. If you yourself raise these prices, how do you expect the prices to go down?
It's not a question of BJP increasing. That is
You're
not
talking
correct.
about supply side.
It is not a
The
question of
government
BJP
is
increasing.
the government is providing the supply side push to inflation.
Okay, let me just get Sanjay Jain over here. Sanjay, you're listening with some amusement to the BJP's arguments on the issue of inflation today. Your government was in a similar situation only months ago. Is it fair to now turn around and smile and say, well, we're happy to see you in this position? It seems a little churlish. You all understand the difficulties you faced. You also know that there is a problem in Iraq right now. Oil prices are going to go through the roof. You have a bad monsoon, a below par monsoon. There are many factors here. So Sanjay Jha, can there be some constructive criticism from the opposition as well, rather than I told you so?
Absolutely, Nidhi. In fact, I was amused and I was grinning because yesterday I heard some NDA minister blaming the media for the price rise, which I thought was the most absurd statement I've heard in decades. And today I'm hearing Pinky calling it a Congress conspiracy. I mean, these are ridiculous, absolutely preposterous statements. I mean, Prasanjit, I think, got it partially right when he said that, end of day, it's about boosting production. I mean, the simple solution for countries like India, which have a major demand that has to be met, the mismatch between demand and supply has to be contained not by slowing demand. He's not correct there, because interest rates were not increased to slow demand. They were to actually lower down inflation. And as far as increasing supply is concerned, the answer lies in boosting production and essentially land productivity, increasing the area of irrigated crops to total cropped area. These are the challenges at a more integral economic level. But I want to answer what Pinky said.
Which you
see, when you look at inflation overall, the issue is very simple. That when can I speak without an interruption? I won't take too long.
Failed to do that.
When demand, let me tell you what is.
No, Sanjay said
Well, let me tell you, it's not 10 years. I think inflation
you have
really
10 years
was
of
hitting
UPA
us.
rule and you are unable to do anything.
Okay, let him finish. Let him finish.
Pinky Anand, can I speak without your wisdom
Everyone
and
will get a chance.
intervention?
We have a lot of time. Yes, Sanjay,
Just
go ahead.
give me a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Nidhi, my point is, it has been seen historically that when populations begin to do well, we have had better rural and urban prosperity. Despite the fact that there are a lot of people below the poverty line. And when that happens, typically people move their basket of consumption from essentials like cereals and wheats more into fruits, vegetables, protein, meat products, eggs, etc. Now, when that happens, you need to have a supply of these products. Now, Prasanjit is right. To have perishable commodities in available supply at all times, you need things like cold storage, you need a better supply chain management. Which is my question, Nidhi, is why is the BJP government against something as economically sensible for India like an FDI in multi-brand retail? And I'll tell you why. That's the reason why you have cold storages in India that are not functioning, because the people who want to make that into a profitable venture want an end-to-end business solution. So it is a lot more of a complex issue. And I want to make one last point. This is the same BJP which actually ridiculed us when I used to come on your channel to discuss economic situations during our UPA time. When they ridiculed me when I talked about the Great Recession, the global slowdown, the Eurozone crisis,
so the same arguments are being
by
used
the
today.
US monetary authorities, they laughed at it. But today, is
response,
staring them in their face. So, let me tell you, it's not irrational expectations that they raised, but I think they misled the nation during the time of the election campaign. That is a brute hard reality the BJP needs to face.
I think I'm going to take that first to Mr. Raja and then to Sajid Chinoy and Venu, that Mr. Raja politically, has that slogan then of achche din in a sense completely backfired on the BJP? If you look at the first month, you look at inflation across the board, the increase in prices, whether it's fuel, whether it's sugar, it's food, and while the rail hike is something that economists have largely appreciated, it is seen as a burden on the common man. Therefore, has that achche din slogan now come in a sense to haunt the BJP?
Definitely, but BJP can argue always there is tomorrow. Today they may say tomorrow, tomorrow they may say tomorrow. So there is always tomorrow. So BJP may argue good days are ahead and they will come. But it is not the issue. All said and done, it is the responsibility of the government to manage demand and supply balance. There are some long-term issues, there are some short-term issues, immediate issues. The long-term issues we can go on discussing, modernizing the agriculture, increasing the production, increasing the productivity, building cold storage, and these are all issues which we can go on discussing. We had enough discussions when Congress-led UPA 2 government was in power also. But what are the immediate issue? Immediate issue is how to manage the demand and supply. There I think the BJP has spoken about hoarding and black marketing. But when BJP-led NDA government was there in power earlier, it has weakened the Essential Commodities Act. And when UPA came to power, we asked the UPA to strengthen the Essential Commodities Act that the government can do. Now one can say the BJP is trying to place the onus on the state governments. Of course, state governments will have to do their responsibilities, discharge their responsibilities, and they will have to take some steps.
Do you think the center is shocking though? Mr. Raja, do you think the center is shocking?
Yes, center on one hand puts the onus on the state governments, on the other hand, what center has done so far in order to go for de-hoarding campaign, in order to strike at the black market, so that the commodities are made available to the people at affordable price. And the center cannot shirk its responsibility and say it is for the state governments. The same argument was given by Ms. Pranab Mukherjee when he was the finance minister. Same argument was given by Mr. Chidambaram when he was finance minister. I do not know tomorrow what Mr. Arun Jaitley is going to say. He will be repeating the same argument. But people are the worst sufferers. So we will have to see this. BJP has created such a the expectation as though BJP can bring everything, all good days are with BJP. Once BJP comes to power, good days have begun. But now they say there is no magic wand in their hands. Then why did you speak such
and
things?
Reality bites.
What is?
I'll take that to Sajid
Yes,
Chinoy.
definitely.
Sajid Chinoy, the fact is that reality does bite, and would you say in a sense then the Achhe Din slogan becomes a bit of a PR disaster at this point? Do you believe that the steps then that they are taking at this point is the best that they can do?
Nidhi, I think it's good to stipulate some facts here, because there's a sense that all of this is simply about hoarding and black marketeering of onions and potatoes. Let's just understand the facts on food inflation. Food inflation has averaged 10% for the last 10 years. It's not limited to vegetables. It's been across rice, wheat, fruits, vegetables, high protein items, eggs, milk, meat, fish. Right? So this is a broad-based food inflation for a decade, which clearly suggests this is not because of one bad monsoon or 1 month of hoarding. There is something more fundamental. When you move from a $500 per capita economy to a $1,500 per capita economy, demand for food is the first thing that picks up. And unfortunately, what we've seen over the last few years is an economy that's focused too much on demand and not enough on supply. So what we'll have to do over the next few years is all the things that people have said: increase agricultural productivity. I would argue, more importantly, streamline the supply chains, which are currently highly segmented, make sure that the price signals that farmers receive reflect demand by consumers today. There's too much emphasis on MSPs for rice and wheat. So farmers are producing rice and wheat. We've got record storage, but in fact what we need is more oil seeds and more pulses and other food groups that people demand. So there are very fundamental issues here, but you know what? This will not be solved in a week or a month or a quarter. This is a multi-year fight. Exactly. I think for the timing, the government, to its credit, is doing whatever is possible. They've shown some urgency, but what I want to say is the steps that you've announced today, last week on MSPs, on selling 5 million tons, can temporarily bring food inflation down. But if you want to bring food inflation down from 10% to 5%, where it really needs to be, this is going to be a multi-quarter, multi-year of effort on both the center and the states. I'll end by one example. I think one of the most important reforms is to delist fruits and vegetables from the APMC Act, because it's effectively a monopsony, and that's a state issue. So how the center can convince the states to go along with it, I think, will be critical to how much success they achieve on food inflation and other infrastructure areas.
I think excellent points there made by Sajid Chinoy. But Venu, on the question then of the politics of this and how this is playing out, the problem I come back to again and again is this sort of, as D. Raja was saying, they promised the moon and now they're saying they don't have a magic wand. You had a situation where a BJP spokesperson was on a TV debate a few months ago saying that we are going to bring prices down within 30 days. So is the BJP therefore paying for its own slogans?
Yeah, in a sense, BJP really hyped up expectations to a level where they are finding it very difficult to manage those expectations, and now suddenly I am seeing the finance minister and other economic ministers, they are trying to lower expectations, and one example of that is that they have already begun saying that it will take 1 year to repair the economy or 2 years to repair the economy. I mean, Atal Bihari Vajpayee didn't say in 1999 that it will take 2 years to repair the economy, whereas at that time we had come out of the East Asian crisis, we were in a much worse situation, right? So now it's the Modi government is trying to lower expectations because it was heightened to such a level earlier, and in regard to the problem with agriculture, productivity and food, all the diagnosis that we heard from other panelists, what Sajid said is true, and this is exactly what Congress used to say then, and the BJP never used to listen. Now BJP has now begun saying that yes, we have to address it at various levels. Now they are talking about states cooperation because agriculture is a state subject, and we don't have a common market in agriculture today. It's easier to import, say, onions or potatoes from some nearby country rather than get it from one of your states.
To another.
Yeah, from Rajasthan to Punjab is more difficult than getting onions from one of the maybe East Asian countries. So these are all issues which require actually coordination with chief ministers, sitting with them, and.
But do you think that's going to happen? Because politically that is a problem, getting everybody on
board.
But
Mr. Modi has promised even that in the BJP manifesto that I am going to talk to the chief ministers and we work together.
Federalism.
And planning commission need not be there. I'll directly go over the head of planning commission, talk to chief ministers. So there is expectation there also. So that's why people are asking whether onions coming from Rajasthan. There were 140 trucks coming, according to a big Azadpur Mandi association leader who was here on your channel yesterday, NDTV India. You are saying 140 trucks coming every day. Now they are reduced to 70 trucks. So somebody needs to answer what has happened to the number of trucks coming with onions loaded from Rajasthan to Delhi.